is not that different from the US. You know, if anything, you go over there and it seems like British people are trying to be different from Americans. They're like, oh, you drive on the right side of the road, then we're gonna drive on the left side of the road. Oh, you call your mother Mom, then we're gonna call ours Mum. Oh, you call that a cookie, then we're not going to the dentist. I know that's cheap. I did notice something when I was over there. You know, British people, they don't say the before hospital. You ever notice that? They're like, hospital? I was feeling knackered, so I went to hospital. Whenever they would do that, I'd say, stop that, that's wrong and weird. Are you trying to sound like a polite caveman? And I had a friend from London. He was like, what makes you think you're doing it properly? And I go, because I'm American and we invented the English language. It was a pet peeve of mine, so I did some research. You know why British people don't say the before hospital? Because they're dicks. Yeah! I know that sounds harsh, but admit it, British people always talk to Americans like we just walked into their jewelry store with 2 full bags of garbage. May I help you? Are you lost? Obviously, I love the Brits, and I would never do those jokes there. I have been lucky enough to perform in the UK a couple times, and one time I was walking through Piccadilly Circus, which, for the record, is a horrible circus. There's no animals. And no, I was walking through Piccadilly Circus, and I saw they had an M&M store, and I looked at that M&M store, and it just made me think of all the things the British have given the Americans. Like, our language, Shakespeare, the Magna Carta, and I looked at the M&M store and I thought, now we're even. When I looked at the M&M store, I wasn't even embarrassed to be American. I was ashamed to be human. Because has anyone at any point in their life thought, when are they gonna open an M&M store? Sure, I can buy M&Ms absolutely anywhere, but I like to buy in bulk, in a pro-M&M environment. Obviously, we don't need an M&M store. We don't even need different colored M&Ms. They all taste the same. They're just bits of chocolate shaped like Advil. With an M on it. They're not even M&Ms, they're M's. We don't do that with anything else. You want some raisin and raisins? Go ahead. Grab a handful of raisin and raisins.
Australia, great country to visit if you're concerned that you have a drinking problem. Like, I don't know if you are aware of this. An Australian is just an Irishman who's been left out in the sun for too long. That's how they make Australians. They don't have babies like the rest of us. You take an Irish person, you just airdrop them in the desert without sunblock, and like 6 weeks, just like, oi, oi, oi. They sort of melt into Australians. It's a strange phenomenon. But it was nice to go to Australia because there's no pressure to speak a second language. I was in Western Australia where a lot of people don't even speak a first language. It's like, I don't know what weird sounds are coming out of your mouth, but I refuse to believe information is being conveyed at all. Right, mate? I don't know, those weren't words. There was not one consonant what you just said. This is a string of vowel sounds, you weirdo. I think Americans catch too much shit from other countries for only speaking one language. I was talking to a guy from Belgium recently, and I complimented him on how well he spoke English, and he got very snotty. He's like, well, I speak 3 languages. In Europe, we all speak multiple languages. Only in America, you speak 1 language. Dude, you know why you speak 3 languages? Because you live in Belgium, and you fucking have to. That's right. I don't want to sound like an imperialist, but let's be honest here. Belgium, a very petite nation. And I say petite because I don't know the Flemish word for small, because I'm American. Everyone not laughing is like, what the hell is Flemish?
I thought they spoke Belgian.
Belgium is a small country. America is a big country. We should not have the same rules, right? Like, let's say you live in Belgium and you get into your car, or auto, as they probably say, right? And you just start driving. That country is so small, no matter which direction you go, within 3 hours, you're gonna be in a completely different country with its own history and culture. It's not like that here in America, right? What happens if this guy gets in his car and drives 3 hours? What's he gonna see? Fucking that dude. It's all the same. It's just cheesecake factories and sunglass huts as far as the eye can see. So stop giving us crap, world. I'm sorry we're not surrounded by other cultures. We only have 2 neighbors in America, and they're a fuck of a distance from each other, right? Like, if you live near the border of one of them, you don't know anything about the other, okay? No one who has spent his entire life in Vermont knows how to make a good pico de gallo. And no one from San Antonio knows how to shovel a driveway. That's... right?
I'm ignored at my Y. I'm ignored at all health clubs. Like, when I walk into a fitness area, even in a hotel, people always look at me like, I didn't know they serve food here. The only people that approach me are personal trainers. They're like, you looking for a personal trainer? No. You should be. So I've gotten to the point, if I'm approached by a personal trainer, I just act like they're hitting on me. They're like, hey, how you doing? I'm married. I don't think you understand. I understand perfectly. You want to get with me, but I'm taken, so you can look, but no touchy. I got to do some international shows this year. I performed in Japan for the first time, which was amazing. I mean, I wasn't in Japan just for stand-up. I was also modeling. I wish that wasn't that funny. But Japan, the Japanese are just, they're better at being human. Can we admit that? They're more polite, they're better at design. The Japanese toilet, are you familiar with the Japanese toilet? The Japanese took the most disgusting experience of human existence and fixed it. The Japanese toilet washes you, dries you, does your taxes. And that is in a Tokyo airport bathroom. You leave a Japanese public restroom cleaner than when you walked in. You leave an American public restroom with PTSD. Your only thought is, how can I forget that experience? Is there alcohol nearby? The entire time I was in Japan, I felt overweight, probably because I am overweight. But generally, the Japanese are thin. I mean, there are people that are overweight in Japan, but not like in America. We're better at not being thin. Because if you get really fat in Japan, they make you sumo wrestle. They make their fat people fight each other to entertain the thin people. And the fat people in Japan go along with it. Well, why am I doing this? It's prestigious. Now you try and push that other fat ass out of the circle. Oh, we try not to giggle. But first, throw in this giant diaper and put your hair in a bun. It's very dignified. The Japanese are quiet and polite. They're like the opposite of my children. I had my kids with me, and they were always making loud noises. Occasionally, I would catch a Japanese person looking at my poorly behaved kids, and then they would look at me, and I'd always say the same thing. We're Canadian. Of course, we're not Canadian, but that is what some Americans do when they travel internationally. They tell people they're Canadian, which I think is cowardly. That's why I always tell people I'm North Korean. Then I get the respect I deserve. How much attention does the country of North Korea need at this point? Every 2 days, North Korea's like, we're gonna blow up the world! Isn't there a party that's like, then just do it?
Everybody thinks Florida is so glamorous because that's all you see on TV. It's always like CSI Miami and Dexter and Miami Vice. There's only one TV show about the rest of Florida. It's called Cops. It's actually 2 different states. I don't know if you know this. From Orlando north, Florida is just the south. Could be Alabama, could be Georgia, whatever. Orlando down It's not a red state, it's not a blue state, it's just a place where people go when they're done. I'm done. I don't want to think anything new, I don't want to read anything new. Just drop the mojito on the table and get the fuck out of my face. You know what I mean? Like, the motto of South Florida should be, fuck it. Which is great. I think if you have lived a hard knock life somewhere else and you are looking for a place to expire, that's fine. But have you ever met someone who's born and raised in Florida? It melts their brains. I'm telling you. I performed last year at the University of Tampa. Spoiler alert, not an Ivy League institution. No. That school should have a bumper sticker that says, University of Tampa. No, seriously. Like what? What are you gonna... What is your course load at the University of Tampa? Oh, Ed Hardy t-shirt design. Building a better date rape drug. Like what is there? It's not their fault. It's too hot for higher education. You can't study when your balls are stuck to your leg. It's impossible. Science has shown this to be true. Like, oh, I think that Einstein, you can't, the synapses don't fire. You will never get an Ivy League school any place where people need to wear bathing suits 12 months a year. Because your priorities change. Do you really think Einstein would have come up with the theory of relativity if he lived in Key Biscayne? No, he'd be doing crunches all day and like worrying about his man boobs and stuff. Like, he'd still be a genius, but he'd be one of those like douchebag gym geniuses. Like, have you ever met one of those personal trainer guys who knows the name of every single muscle group? So he's smarter than you are, but in a stupid way. Aren't those people the worst? Like, fuck you for knowing shit I don't know, because you're an idiot. I know you're an idiot, and I hate that you know stuff. I like idiots that sound like idiots. If Einstein was from Florida, he'd be one of those like P90X assholes. You know what I mean? Like when you're flipping channels, like Insanity, like all those things, like, hey guys, check it out. I'm Al Einstein. This is my nutritional supplement, E equals MC squared. Because remember, energy equals muscle conditioning. The box is square.